Hey everybody, Jason here. So today I picked up the windows for the Gypsy wagon, the Vardo, and they're unfinished. So what I did is I've had issues with the shoulder, so it took a few months off of building it and to try to reduce some of the work, and really it's a specialist skill. So I had one of the Amish mills around the corner, Andy, he made up some cedar windows for me. So they're unfinished, so we're gonna put some penetrating oil on them today, and then once they're dry, we'll do the installation. Okay, so it's been a few days. We've given the windows time to dry, and now today we're going to install them. Okay, I gotta shake this can for 1 minute. So I just went to the local hardware store and bought this. There's a bunch of different types of foam for windows and doors. Always check with the store you're buying them from. There's different expansion rate on these cans of foam. It's adhesive foam, and so this is a low expansion, and that way I'm not getting a ton of, like, I don't know what you'd call it, over foam or over spray. But also I've used this stuff in the past, and it expands sometimes so much that it puts pressure on the sides, especially if there's not a lot of support in between. Now these windows, I probably could have gone with like a high yield foam. They're so small, but better safe than sorry. So another thing I should point out is, I don't know if you've noticed, but at the bottom it looks like there's a huge gap. It is kind of centered, you know, give or take. The foam makes up the difference, and then the trim on on both sides, I was going to say the outside, but the trim on the outside and the inside will cover any size differences. The reason the bottom looks like it's got so much of a larger gap is that the bottom of the windows is actually angled downwards. So if rain hits the side, if it hits the window, the rain will fall downwards, and then I don't want it rolling in, and so obviously I don't want the angle towards the interior. A flat window pane, water could also run in, but having it angled out or downwards, the water should always run outwards. Keep in mind also that the windows are already, or the walls are already on an angle outwards. So all up, this angle is actually quite great, that I can't see water running in from the bottom ever. Okay, so all I'm doing right now is I just went quickly along. It's going to expand to some degree. You definitely don't want to get this stuff on you or your clothes or anything like that. It's not going to wash off. That's why, yeah, you know, one glove's good for me. I'm going to keep my other hand far away. Gloves as well, because you don't want to rub the stuff into your eye. But basically, I'm just going to go along quick on the inside. I give it a little bit, and then I'll look at the outside, and I'll do some on the outside if I see any voids. Especially around the shims, sometimes it's just kind of hard to get in, so there might be a little gap, so checking the outside is good, and you can just, you know, touch up any spots that you've missed. Okay, well, there's really not a lot more I can do for a while. I've got to let the foam cure and expand, well, vice versa, expand and cure. You actually shouldn't be in the environment. Even when I was spraying it, I could see fumes coming off of it. So I'm gonna let that happen, and then probably in a day or two, I'll come back out and I'll do the trim. So as you can see, some of the foam is already expanding out of the joint. So what I'll do is I'll clean that up and you know, scrape it off before trimming. But yeah, we'll get to that later. So it's been a couple days. The foam is cured up and it's good and hard, so now I'm just going to trim it away, trim it nice and flush against the wall so that I can add the window trim. I wanted to also mention that if this is your first time checking out my build, I've got a video that is like a summary of everything I've done so far. I think it's called Everything I've Done So Far. So I'm going to put a link up here somewhere that you can click on if you want to check that out, and also put it at the end of the video. Okay, so anyhow, I'm going to get back to it and trim out these windows. Okay, so I'm just measuring the corner trim here. I think that I'm not going off of any design or anything like that. This is just all, you know, think and build basically. But I think for the window trim, I want it to be similar, but a little bit narrower. So what I've got here is 3 3/8 of an inch. I think for the windows, I'm probably gonna go around like 2 3/4 of an inch. So I'll measure up on my wood and see what I can get out of it. I don't want a lot of scrap either, so, but right now looking at it, I think 2 3/4 to come to about here would be still wide enough. And yeah, I'm still gonna use Western red cedar for the outside trim, and I think that'll look pretty decent. So I've cut a test piece, and basically this is just so I don't use up all of my good wood. Western red cedar, especially clear Western red cedar, isn't the cheapest wood. So I've got a piece of scrap. I measured from the top to the bottom of the inside. So what I mean is, you can see, I'm putting this up here, I'll have a piece go along the bottom and I'll have a piece go along the top. And so my middle piece is gonna have to sit in between the two. Now, I'm not sure if you can make it out, but there's a little gap right in here, and that's so that if rain hits the window and lands on the sill, it'll flow down and it has a little space to actually come out. Now, I gotta let you know, I'm happy with the work that, it's kind of funny, a lot of you will think, how can you be happy? But I'm happy with the work that Andy did making the windows, but they're not what I asked for. So they're close, and luckily they're made in a way that I can change them now and in the future, so it's all good. And mainly for the cost, 3 custom wood windows. It cost me $280 Canadian. And I didn't have to work with glass or buy the tools to work with glass, so worth having him do. But I would like the windows to be hinged so that they can come out, which they're not. But I can take care of that later on. So with the way that they are right now, they're removable windows, and they have this gap so that if the rain hits, it can flow out underneath this side piece. So what I need to do is my side pieces of trim need to be on the outside of this strip, so that in the future, if I hinge the windows, there's not going to be anything that'll interfere. So you can imagine if the trim's sticking in, there will never be a way for me to open or close the window. So if I have it in the right place, if down the road I decide to remove these strips and hinge the windows, it'll still be completely functional. At that point, I'll either recut these pieces, because the bottom plate is on an angle. I'll be able to just trim it up and slide them to the back, and then that'll have something for the window to butt up against. And same, the top piece, that length won't change, so it's not a big deal. The window will still work. The window will be able to fit exactly in the same spot that it does now. And what I'll probably do, if I do it, is I'll use like a piano hinge, just a long hinge that, you know, they're very thin. I can just attach to the bottom, or the bottom of the top plate and the top of the window. So anyway, so looking at this, that's basically what I want. I want it to sit just like that, and I believe this is 13 3/4 of an inch is what I measured, and it does look like that will work. So I'm gonna cut my side pieces, put them in place, and then I'll do the top and the bottom. Measure twice, cut once. Well, I think it's looking pretty good. So that's one down, 2 more to go, but I'm gonna slip the glass back in and have a look at what it actually looks like. Okay, so I've got all the window trim in place. I used PL Premium construction adhesive and then some finishing nails. I lined up the nails with all of the interior studs so that it's not just going through the paneling, but yeah, into something solid behind it. Truth, the PL Premium is probably going to hold them in place plenty, but yeah, you know, just want it to be as secure as possible. So all 3 windows are done. So I'm now just hand sanding. So I did use the rotary palm sander after cutting them to size just to get any machining marks out of it. Also, I broke the edges on the outside with the rotary palm sander. Just created not so much a round over, but kind of a round over chamfer type, you know, look. So now I'm just hand sanding a little bit. So I didn't round over the inside edge of any of them before I installed them. So now I'm just basically just lightly breaking it so there's no sharp edge. And also just from hammering, there's dirt marks or whatever. So I'm just sanding that all off and just cleaning them up a little bit more. I'm not going overboard because as you can see, it's, you know, got a really rustic look to it. So, you know, and it's a soft wood, so it's going to get dings and bumps and everything else. And really that's the look I'm going for, but I just don't want any, you know, major noticeable machining marks where it could be like long straight lines or something like that. So as it in time, it'll get weathered and everything, and that's fine. But so I'm doing all that now because the next step, once I get all sanded, is I'm going to put some penetrating oil on these, seal them up, and then I'll know that they're good for winter, and yeah, job done. Okay, so there you have it, windows installed. And as promised, here's a link to the video, what I've done so far. And if you like the video, please give it the thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you think. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, okay? Thanks for watching.